Hello, everybody. I am Dr. Eddie Davis. Welcome to CGR Phenomics. I, the modern medicine man, I am in the process of launching a new YouTube channel uh, to serve as a resource for those who are interested in gaining insights into their phenotypes in regard to their astrological signs. This is a new field. I guess you could call it astrogenetics or genetic astrology, or what we like to call it is phenomics, which is like genomics in that we look at the influence of the environment on the genotype to create a phenotype. The phenotype is the interaction of genes with the environment. And there's a whole world of information that exists in this area. Uh, the universe is a giant computer and it creates signals. And there's a gland in your brain called the pineal gland. The pineal gland is the drugstore of the human body. It picks up these signals as an antenna and converts these signals into chemicals, hormones, or biological uh, substances that influence the development of the human being throughout his lifetime. From a spiritual standpoint, this is the interface of the flesh with the spirit. The pineal gland, some call the seat of the soul. It is also called the third eye because it tells the body what time it is, and it's like your clock. It regulates your body in relationship to time signals, which has to do with the phases of the sun, phases of the moon. The pineal gland will count how many full moons you've been through, how many yearly cycles you've been through, and it's a part of the aging process. Uh, so that the pineal gland, even though the modern medicine model uh, does not admit to understanding the function of the pineal gland. They say that they do not know what the function of the pineal gland. But here I am, I'm telling you the pineal gland, it may be the most powerful gland in the body. The smallest gland in the body is the most powerful gland in the body. A professor, a psychiatrist, wrote a book on the pineal gland, and he said that the pineal gland is the great transducer. It is a chameleon. One cell in the pineal gland, and there are many cells, even though it's a small gland, there are many cells. But one cell in the pineal gland can secrete one hormone based on a signal from the environment or a learned behavior, because what you learn can be transmitted to your brain and to your pineal gland so that you can secrete hormones based on what you learn. Uh, so one pineal gland can secrete one hormone one moment. It can change its entire morphology for production of hormones and secrete an entirely different hormone. It indeed is the drugstore of the human body. So when you were born, and speaking of birth, the pineal gland is the largest it ever is in your lifetime at birth. It is the birth gland. It picks up signals from the environment and matches it with your biological or genetic information and causes the moment of birth to occur in relationship to the genes that's in your family. That's the main function of the pineal gland at the beginning of life, is to get you into the world. So the timing of your birth is spiritual and it's also genetic. So any interference with the timing of your birth should be only done under special circumstances. Under in case of life of the mother or in case of life of the child. But it's a sacred moment, uh, the timing of birth, such that your pineal gland starts picking up these signals and it starts producing all these hormones that actually regulate your DNA or your genotype and determine what your eye color is going to be, how tall you're going to be, and what illnesses that your body or your soul has to deal with in order for you the growth of your spirit. And it's all about growth. Uh, we bring over stuff from a previous lifetime that we have to deal with. It has to do with karma. Karma is biologic and genetic. Karma has nothing to do with what people do to you. What people do to you, that causes karma on them. But nobody can do anything to you based on something that you did in a previous lifetime. All karma is genetic. We have to unlearn that process that, oh, well, he got what he deserved. Oh, no, You get what you deserve with your biology. And I hate these prophets that have been on the planet. They're some deep people. For example, Jesus said that the sins of the father transmitted to his offspring. And that's deep. That's the way it operates. Whatever you learn and whatever you do, and basically what you do is imprinted into your phenotype or your genotype or your soul more so than anything else that happens to you. Because we all learn by doing. We learn by repetition. So things that you do is what you become. So you have to be careful what you do because you are going to create your karma and it will affect you. And since you create your offspring, it can affect your offspring. So uh, I don't know how he did it, but the brother was deep. Jesus said it 2,000 years ago. So, but anyway, with my research that I've been doing in this for over 40 years, I like to present my findings to the public and be of assistance to those who have questions regarding COVID-19, the coronavirus. I have some research that I've been doing recently. I've been doing intense research into that, and I have some information with regard to the virus. But it seems that viruses are the continuing unfolding or evolution of the planet, such that mutations are a part of the nature or the fabric of the universe and our planet Earth. So mutations in genes and viruses are natural phenomena. But what is unique about coronavirus is that the planetary configurations I discovered that are associated with that were particularly harsh, and they struck around, believe it or not, struck around November and December. And so to say that it started in bats is hard to say because coronaviruses have been affecting humans, giving us colds. The normal variation of coronaviruses gives us colds. Uh, but this particular planetary configuration seemed to create a dramatic mutation, one that was not. I guess that's why they call it the novel coronavirus. And this particular virus is so new that most people's immune systems can't deal with it. And we're going to have to try to make the changes in our society and try to cope with this thing. But these pandemics have been going on for ages. like I said, it's a natural phenomenon that goes on in nature. And a lot of people say, "Oh, well, why God put us through this?" Hey, well, you grow from tribulation. The purpose of life is not just to enjoy and have fun; it's for you to grow, and growth causes a better you. If you playing all the time, you're not growing. Okay, so you can't go through life joy and playful and all that kind of stuff. No, you got to grow some. That's the what God. That's that's the plan that God has for everyone. Longfellow said it so lovely in a poem called "The Rainy Day," and people should go listen to that poem and get a grip on what life is about. Some days must be dark and dreary. Yeah, but behind each dark cloud, there's a rainbow. Because whatever we go through with this coronavirus, we're going to come out better persons, better human beings. We all grow from conflict. So be steadfast and have faith that we're going to get through this and we're going to be better for it. So now, what I'd like to offer to the medical establishment, I've also developed some markers for people who appear to be more at risk for this coronavirus infection. And it can be at any age group depending on your phenotype. I'm going to use the word phenotype mostly here. Uh, I don't deal with horoscopes and things like that. I call a person's personal chart, I call it a phenogram because basically it's looking at a phenotype. And all of the astrologers who are interested in in contacting my service, I'm able to do some consulting with you to help your clients in this situation. This is a serious situation. The world is shutting down. The economies around the globe are suffering and people are dying. So I'd like to offer my services to those who are interested, and I'll have a contact information available for you for those who are interested in contacting me. But for those who are on the front lines, I know you're frustrated. Doctors, nurses, respiratory therapists, all the hospital people who are putting their lives at risk. I can tell, I can give you a good idea as to whether or not you are high risk. And if you are high risk, you need to make a decision. Your hospital needs to make a decision as to whether or not it's worth it for you to be on the front lines. We Now what we can do is for the hospitals, those individuals who are not high risk, let them take your place. I'm actually offering my services to the state of Alabama or whatever, or any state who needs my services. I'm willing to come in and help in this particular situation because there may be someone who's high risk that needs to be uh, not be on the front lines. But on the other hand, there are some people who are willing to lay down their lives for this big event that we're dealing, this pandemic tragedy that we're going through. Uh, but for those who want to know what your risk is, and this is for anybody, it can help you with your planning and how cautious you need to be. For example, if you're very high risk, you probably need to be the person who stays at home and does all the cleaning and all of the protocols that's necessary. There are some people who are low risk, and like those 80% of the people who are apparently low risk, uh, they will not have symptoms, or if they do have symptoms, it will be mild and they'll get over it. But uh, so we need to find out who these 80% of the doctors and nurses are who are on the front lines, who can go in there and have a good chance of surviving this fight with this virus. This is what I like to offer. So if there's anyone out there who's willing or who's interested in gaining this information. My data right now is in the 90% accuracy range. If I'm not able to tell you what your risk is, I will tell you that I would need more information. But most people, I can tell them what risk level they are, and you need to make adjustments if you are high risk. If you work in an environment where you are exposed, you need to take leave or consider, you know, I don't know, resigning or whatever. But that's going to be your decision. But I want to be able to offer you some information that may save your life. So, this is what I'm offering right now with the coronavirus epidemic. But I'm also offering uh, my research data in sudden cardiac death. It's called SADS, sudden arrhythmic death syndrome, and I have markers for those people who are at risk for sudden death. If there's anyone in your family who's died suddenly, you need to contact me, and I can tell you what type of condition you may be prone for. And my recent data shows that I can even tell when it's likely to happen, so that you can be especially vigilant around those times. And in coordination with your cardiologist, we can get you on the right medication or the right preventative process, which sometimes it may include a pacemaker insertion. But there are too many people walking around here who have this phenotype for sudden cardiac death, and they're not being isolated and identified, and they are dying, and they can kill people in the process. I have an article on my webpage, The Modern Medicine Man, about that appears to be what happened with Kobe Bryant. The pilot had a coronary or a cardiac arrest, and there was nothing they could do about it because no one else could fly the plane, the helicopter, and it was an unfortunate event. But this cardiac death can happen anytime. A 16-year-old guy, actor, uh, just recently died in the news, and it appears that he has the phenotype for sudden cardiac death. Uh, but these deaths are preventable. But you have to be evaluated to see whether or not you have the condition, and if you will allow me to coordinate the diagnosis and treatment with your physician, then we can save your life. Uh, if your doctor does not want to help you, I advise you to get another doctor. but uh, but this is what I'm offering, and like I said, I'll have contact information up soon. But this is my launching of my YouTube channel in hopes of trying to help save people's lives. And I hope that you all will forgive me if I if this appears to be too unusual for you. I apologize, but God has put this information with me, and I have to give it to you. I have to share it with you. That's my responsibility. Uh, but if you want to take a look at my webpage, The Modern Medicine Man, to see the articles that I've published, then take a look at that. But give me contact me through my YouTube channel, which will soon be up, and we'll see if we can save some lives together. Thank you. Have a nice evening.